thing is for sure, we are eternal.
Hey, composing loves here. Today I will show you how to use Picture in your productions. It will be great. You will enjoy it. You will subscribe and be amazed. So yeah, and this is how I'm gonna talk in my tutorial. Just kidding. That is not how I am going to talk in this tutorial. So, this is Picture. And let me really quick take the mic input off for now. So, this is Picture. And as you can see, it's a live performance. Ideally, you can use this in your productions though. What you do is, so that's my demo of it. What you do is you link up Picture to a MIDI out to do what I just did. And we're going to talk about what this is and how it works. So Picture is a real-time pitch correction software. You can play notes and Picture will fix them. And so I have my voice going through 2 FLs, which is why it's separate. So it'll be a little bit more editing if I decide to do some more live stuff. But this is just way too cool. You can use this in just a regular thing, and I'm probably going to end up doing quite a bit more live. So it used to be you could click on the word Picture and a box would pop up telling you a bunch of stuff, but it doesn't do that anymore, so that's a bummer. We have this reference. So what this reference channel does is when you run audio into Picture, and if you don't even know how to get Picture into the mixer track, because when the first time I saw it, I was still so new that I didn't even know what a mixer was yet. You need to go watch my FL Basics tutorials. So we have this reference track. This just tells Picture where to look to correct the audio, where to look to correct pitch. And so here we've got this, and that's pretty much that. If we go over here into this middle zone, this tells it to correct both the left and the right channel. So if you're sending a stereo signal to Picture, which is what we've got going on here, we have a left channel and a right channel of audio, and this will tell it to do it independently. So it'll process the left channel and the right channel independently. If you tell it to take the right, it'll take the right channel, process it, and apply it to both left and right. And so that's the pitch reference. I've not come across a situation where I've needed to touch this, but maybe you've gotten multiple takes, like you've done something like multiple one singer doing overdubs. You could pitch them differently and they could sound slightly different, and you would be able to preserve your overdubs through Picture. So that'd be kind of a neat thing that just Picture would allow you to do, preserve your work. Another thing is Picture does not work that great with chords, choirs, you want it first. You don't want to put reverb through Picture because it's going to take all those things and try and push it to a particular note, and that's just going to be a disaster zone. So I'm going to turn my mic back on, and I'm going to, now I can hear myself, and that's kind of weird. So we have this minimum frequency over here, and I'm not going to do that. So I'll do that when I need to. We have this minimum frequency over here. Minimum frequency, what it does is it says where the cutoff value is for the note. So if I were to just sing like, ooh, and my voice is pretty low. Now, if you don't know, the human voice is like it's as low as 500. And most of it's actually below 500, especially the fundamentals. And as you get up into the range, you'd be actually really surprised to find out how low your voice, because in the EQ it looks like it's quite high, but in reality the hertz ranges for your voice, I forgot the exact ranges, but they are surprisingly lower than you would expect. And so I'm gonna go ahead and just show you real quick. So I'm just gonna turn those two things on, and all right, here we go. So I'm just gonna sing ooh and go ooh, ooh. Now I'm going to raise this value where Picture detects the minimum frequency at which it detects. And you might want to do this for CPU reasons, just because that is where this will save you CPU. It won't be looking for audio down there, and it will also prevent pitcher from dipping down into the low range when you don't want it to do that. Maybe it picks up something down there. You don't want it to do that. So we have this minimum 80, which is really low, and most people think this wouldn't matter, but it can make a big difference. So we go ooh, ooh. So you see, it doesn't really ooh, ooh. It doesn't pick up that. I could sing lower than 80 hertz. Now if we go to 110, ooh. Oh well, I can't sing lower than 80 hertz. My bad. That was wrong. But I can sing lower than 110 hertz. And let's do 170. Or at least I didn't sing lower than 80 hertz in that instance. Who knows? Maybe I can sing that low. I don't know. Ooh. Now this is what I'm actually singing. Ooh. It's like this horrible ooh sound. Ooh. And so after that, I'll get picked up pretty safely by everything. So if I really wanted to ensure my voice, I'd probably pick a minimum of 80 hertz. So the likelihood of me singing below that is very low. And yeah, so that's that. And so then you have this minor. So I've been playing it in Harmonizer mode. You probably don't have it hooked up yet. And so we're going to hook it up individually. So let's record something real quick, and I'll just sing ooh on input. So let's do that here and give some demonstrations of what this does. Ooh. All right, that's good. No more of that, and we'll drop that in here, and we're just going to route this into channel 4 because that's where pitcher's at. And we're just going to loop it. So right now, pitcher is working in... oh, you know what? I should sing multiple notes. That'll be useful for later, I suppose. But even then, so let's just sing multiple notes real quick. Let's just sing some. Composing gloves is the best. Yeah. And let me turn pitcher off. Composing gloves is the best. Yeah. There we go. That was nice and out of tune. Everything I ever wanted it to be. And so. Whoops. What did I just push? I just pushed the next one. I want nothing. All right, cool. So we have this. And you've heard it. So, we have these different scale options that we can make it snap to with pitcher. Now I'm going to turn the speed up to fast. This is just how fast pitcher applies a correction. And so I'm going to turn it up, and we're going to take a listen. Whoops. I do that at least like once every 2 tutorials. Composing gloves is... And I need to send this to track 4. Here we go. Composing gloves is the best. Yeah. So you can hear it happening very fast. So this is how fast this will affect a great deal of whether or not you can hear it. That sounds like an auto tune. If we take it down to medium, composing gloves is the best. And what I'm doing right now is I've selected a minor scale. There's all these different types of scales. Go look up. I have a music theory course of some of these. I don't believe I cover pentatonic. It's a 5-note scale, but it's not that complicated. If you learn like dream sequences, like na 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 and stuff like that, it's used a lot for that kind of a thing. You have single notes. You can make it just go to one note. You can click all, and it will go to the nearest pitch it detects. Composing gloves is the best. Yeah. And now you can hear those clicks and pops. That's my voice. That's just me on the mic, which I have a pop filter on. I must have bumped it or something. And here we go. Composing gloves is the best. So you can hear it starting to do its thing. I'm going to go to a major scale. I'm going to leave it on C major. So here's a C major scale. Composing gloves. I've seen people open up pitcher to check scales before. I think that's so funny. This is like the last place I would probably go to check a scale, but that's where they knew they were. So I thought it was very resourceful. Here is a D major scale, especially because it starts with the note, the first available note in the scale, not with the actual tonic of the scale. That was, yeah, it's funny. Composing gloves is the best. Yeah. So yeah. So that's that. Now you can so you can adjust the tuning of these individual notes. So if you were to like, right now it's at A440, I'm going to leave it there, but you can move this up or down if your track is in a slightly different key. Maybe you're working on world music and you need this to be maneuverable. You can do that. You can change it with pitcher. And I highly doubt someone who's doing that will use pitcher, but in the unlikely case that they are, maybe you're running your drums or something. You just want to run something through it just to see what you can do with this. Now, we have this bypass enable, so this just takes pitcher out of the chain. So right now, it's taking pitcher out of the chain. So, composing gloves is, you can see it does nothing to it's being bypassed. If we turn it on, it's been enabled, which is one of the few plugins I've noticed in here that actually has this, because normally to disable, you just do that, on your mixer, but it's whatever. So, composing gloves is the best, and you can hear it working. And let's go to a minor scale. Composing gloves is the best. So, it's whatever. You could turn on and off individual notes so that it can't use them. This is bypassing them. You can actually click on the notes to deactivate the option of using them. Composing gloves. And I'm going to demonstrate this all a lot easier when I'm actually performing, singing in junk. Then we've got this speed. The speed, again, is how fast. You have gender. Gender is the formant. So you have this formants control. Formants, I've talked about formants like multiple times. Go look at my formants video if you're really curious about it. It's just resonant peaks in your voice that allow you to be detected as you. It defines one guy from another guy and one girl from another girl. And it even goes so far as telling us orally whether or not that is a guy or a girl. So formant control, the nice thing is, so if I were to sing a high note and then pitch my high note up, and I were to move it over to the girl side, it would still sound relatively natural. And then of course there's the guy side. So let's mess with this. Composing gloves is the best. Yay! There we go. Composing gloves is the best. Yeah. This is no formants. There we go. Composing gloves is the best. Yeah. I forgot. That doesn't do anything in this mode quite yet. So formants. So you have to have that on for that to work. In performance mode, this doesn't do anything, but the formant switch does something else. So then you have fine tune. If you want to fine tune your vocals to tune to some other thing, but you don't want to change that, you can do it over here, and you have 100 cents on each side to tune it to. Okay. So now something that you saw was I was controlling this using a MIDI controller, and you might be like pulling your hair out if you've never done this before. You might be like, how did he do that? So that's all these controls. If you have any questions, drop those in the comments. So let's talk about this MIDI controller thing. So I've got this. If you hit this MIDI button, this MIDI input port number shows up, and you may want to get ready if you've never seen this. So I'm using this MIDI out plugin. You come down here, and it is right here underneath the MIDI section. MIDI out. You're going to need that. Then you go over here and you select your port number. Now, if you're not familiar with MIDI, MIDI is performance data. That's what MIDI is. Pins. Over one wire, you can have 16 channels. We're doing it all digitally right now. So a lot of this stuff is sort of out the door in some regards. But if we were to go over, so this is what your MIDI out plugin should look like. And the whole thing is, I just needed a keyboard to send data to pitcher to. That's like all I needed. So I'm going to set it up. What I did was I put my MIDI port to 1. And if I came over here, I'm on channel 1, which shouldn't really matter. And I didn't touch anything else. I just moved my port to 1. And that was it. As soon as I moved my port to 1 and I hit keys on my keyboard, as you can see, I am now playing notes. And so that's how you hook this up. It's really important that you understand this, that you set it to the same port, la la la. Once you see port, it's pretty intuitive at that point. Once you know you have to open up this MIDI out plugin. So now we've got notes on here, and as I sing through, it will be pitch corrected. Now this will only be a monophonic pitching, which means that I can only correct one note at a time. So if I were to, here, I just hit some, play it. Composing gloves is the best. Yeah. There we go. Composing gloves is the best. Yeah. Now you might want to bring that yeah down. Well, pitchers for real-time performance, you might want something like new tone for something like that. Or you could edit the vocals yourself and bring down the pitch, and then pitcher will interpret it as the correct octave. So you might be saying, I want this yeah to be an octave lower. And it keeps going up. Well, that's because the pitch is up there. So pitcher will actually put it in the octave that it detects that it's in, and you can't change that just because of the way. If you want something like that, you need to open up new tone or maybe go in, pitch correct it, and then play it through. And so, but this is great for live performance because you heard me do it earlier. You can switch into, different octaves on the performance simply by singing, which is like it's great. So I really like it. So again, this is only one note at a time. You have this octaves button, you hit that, and it will play the note that you're playing, and it will also play it, and it will also double the note, so it'll duplicate the audio stream and play that in the octave that you're playing on your keyboard. So if we play this, composing gloves is the best. Yeah. There we go. Composing gloves is the best. So I'm playing really high notes. So it reads the note I'm actually playing on my keyboard. Composing gloves is the best. Yeah. So that's one way of also moving it to the octave you want. Composing gloves is the best. Yeah. So that's a way of shoving it to the value. Now we're gonna click this button. Everything's gonna change. Before I click it, just so you know, octaves behaves differently in Harmonizer. It plays the note you're playing on your keyboard to pitch correct the pitch in the octave it's at, and then it will double it as the octave you're playing. And sometimes it doesn't just because of weird problems. I don't know. I've had mixed things with this, but it's supposed to play the octave you're playing. So if we click Harmonizer, junk, look at this. What is this? And this button just changed too, even though it looks like it stayed the same. They tricked you. So now you're going to be able to play multiple notes at a time. You've got a few interesting options here, though. So first we have stereo spread, and if I turn my spread on or off, so this is like no stereo spread, and this is a huge stereo spread, and that's just like the stereo imaging that's coming out of your speakers. And so right now this is a big spread. So if we were to play it, I have no idea why I have to click up here to make it recognize this separately. Composing gloves is the best. Yeah. So as I can play chords now too, you'll notice you can play up to 4 notes. That's it. You only have 4 notes, which should be plenty. So all these other controls do what they look like they did before. Deactivating notes by double clicking on them doesn't do anything because you're going to be pushing notes on your keyboard, so it won't change anything. And this does the same thing as before. So if we take this down, this will be a mono spread now. Composing gloves is the best. So a much more narrow stereo spread. Gender doesn't do anything. If we were to move this over, composing gloves is the best. It does do something. That's interesting. It was not working for me earlier. Maybe I just was pushing the wrong button. Composing gloves is the best. There we go. Oh, it works. I don't know what I was talking about. It does totally work. False information. So then we have this Formant. Formant enables Formant following. Oh, maybe this is what I meant. So if you turn it off. So right now it's been adjusting the formants as we've hit higher notes on our keyboard to make it sound natural. But if you don't adjust the formants and you keep your original voice and you pitch it up, you get like that sort of helium feel, that chipmunk sort of sound, that type of deal. So let's do some of that. Composing gloves is the best. Yeah. There we go. Composing gloves is the best. Yeah. Oh, my minimum's at 170. I want it down here. Composing gloves is the best. Yeah. There we go. Composing gloves is the best. Yeah. So you can see we got that. We go down here. There we go. Composing gloves is the best. Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. That's a Formant, so you can turn that on and off. You generally want Formants following on, make it sound way more natural. You can mess with the Formants and move it. I was wrong about that. I had this experience where I was doing it and it just wasn't doing anything. It might have been my minimum frequency. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention, and I was actually hearing partly tuned, partly not tuned. I don't know. Now you have this replace mix down here. This is, if I do mix, it'll mix in the original audio with the audio coming out of picture. That might be something you want, maybe if you're mixing a vocal in. You can't control this level, so to do this instead, I would just double it, send it through picture on one track and through nothing on the other, and then use your faders to mix. That will give you a ton more control. You have this velocity button, you click that. Now it will be dependent on how hard you hit the keys on your keyboard. I'm not going to do that because I don't like the velocity enabling for this on my keyboard. It won't work well with this. So then you have voice panning. So you're going to sing notes or sing, and then it's going to play a note, a note, a note. And the first note you hit, I believe it's the highest note, will be the first one, the highest note. No, I believe it's the first. It's one of those two. And that will be the panning for that voice. And as you go down, you will get to the fourth panning, and then you can't go any farther. So you go left or right. So you could create an image that starts in the middle and maybe adds a left voice and a right voice a little. Well, like this. And then one that goes way over here, so your left might sound slightly louder on the off chance that you hit 4 notes occasionally. Composing gloves is the best. As you see, that creates a very interesting stereo spread. So that's that. That is picture. Now I'm going to switch back to a live mode. And I'm going to sing low first. So I'm going to go ooh, and pitch it. Ooh. So that's what that sounds like. In the middle octave. And I also have a Maximus and a fruity reverb in a chorus to make my voice, and all this stuff is covered in the series, so you should not be asking questions except for Maximus. And I forgot if I covered reverb. It's on my list, so just extra icing. You will be great at this. Now I'm going to sing up an octave, that range. Now we've run into a range where there's like 2 ranges right there. There's the and then there's the high stuff, which I'm not going to do any more of this. And you'll hit those octave breaks. That could be an issue, which is what minimum frequency will fix for the lowest, but not really. Something you may consider trying is setting up multiple pitchers with different bands of equalization and then changing. This is a really complicated setup. I just realized it probably won't work. This is just something I just thought of just now, so I'd have to think about it more. But it'd be kind of interesting to try and use band limiting to try and fix that. But I don't know if if Pitcher is still open for requests, that'd be kind of cool to be able to set it so that it would recognize a mode where it would recognize octaves, and you could set the band limits on where the octaves are recognized, so that you could deliberately switch between bands. And be really interesting to have lower notes quantized to a different band in its regular band. I don't know. So that's that. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I will get to them if I can. Subscribe and have a blessed day.
Composing gloves. Reversing.